I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch the scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio Show once again with your host Nick Bernabe here on ucy.tv and the antimedia.com/radio. Really happy to be back alive and well on this Monday, May 21st, 2018. Bunch of stuff happening, as always. Thanks for our longtime listeners, our Patreon supporters, everyone who's been with us for all this time, you know, fighting through it and dealing with all this Trump nonsense and all the corporate censorship and stuff. We're still working hard. Still waiting on that super good news, so hopefully that comes in really soon. Maybe by next show, we'll see. Or maybe the news doesn't come in for us. But either way, we're still here. And got plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. Nothing really planned out here. We're just going to have a discussion. I should have DB joining me in a few minutes. Jake's going to be a little bit late. He'll be here. What's the big news right now? What do you guys think? The big news. I mean, look, a lot of really troubling stuff on the, I don't know, I guess you would call it the immigration front. The rhetoric has been ratcheting up against immigrants in this country. And, of course, it's being led by Donald Trump. And as I've mentioned before, immigration is one of the few issues where Trump is actually popular on. It's everyone. It's how would I describe this? It's kind of like how Trump won the election, right? Where the polling all showed that he wasn't going to win, and then he won because there was people in the deep, dark corners of their hearts. They thought he was correct on a lot of issues, with Muslims, with Mexicans, with, you know, foreign policy, and with a bunch of the stuff, you know, torture, of course, which is a big story too that we're going to talk about. This immigration issue, this, maybe further, this anti-Latino kind of rhetoric that's been coming out of Trump, and then there was a statement out of the White House that I saw today where, you know, they're calling these MS-13 guys animals. Sessions recently changed some policies where they're going to start separating children from their mothers at the border. They get caught crossing. They're going to be housing immigrant children on military bases. And last year, 1,500 immigrant children that were placed in homes, like foster homes, went missing. 1,500 kids gone. Who knows where they're at? Some of them go underground and ran off with some of their family, probably. But did some of those kids probably suffer a really horrible? Who knows what is going on with those kids right now? Are they being victims of human trafficking right now? Sex slavery and that kind of stuff? Probably a bunch of them. Again, this is a policy for Trump, one of the few policies that he's popular on. People agree with the anti-immigrant sentiment. People agree with the anti-Muslim sentiment. People agree that that the U.S. should build this huge-ass wall for whatever reason. People think that is the source of their own personal discomfort, the fact that maybe they're falling out of the middle class, the fact that they maybe don't have very much discretionary income, the fact that they can barely afford their mortgages or that they're stuck in rent. People blame that on Mexicans and immigrants. And people believe that. It's not true. I mean, I've done the research because obviously, I look into this stuff. And I've looked it up, man. I mean, all the data points are there to show that immigration is a net positive on economic output in basically every situation. I mean, sure, maybe if in a situation where there's a massive refugee crisis and millions of people pour across borders and stuff like that, like when you see in these huge wars, that's a different story. But we're talking about immigration, legal or illegal, people coming into the U.S. in search of a better job or a better way of living and all that. Those people actually help the economy. However, it's easy to believe that they don't. It's really easy to just believe that, oh yeah, the reason my job sucks is because the Mexican dude took the better job. But that's really not the case. I mean, these guys, when immigrants come, when the population grows, it creates a better economy. Everybody gets lifted up. Everybody gets lifted up. And I don't want to go and stoop down to that. Oh, well, they're working at crappy jobs too. I mean, that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of immigrants in this country work very high-skilled jobs. I mean, go look at some of these tech companies like Google, and I know here in Qualcomm, there's a bunch of dudes from India that work there that make good money. I mean, yeah, they make a little bit less than the American-born person, but these guys are up there making $100,000 as engineers on working on the technology that creates our phones and that kind of stuff. So this is really dangerous stuff because, one, it's popular and people already agree with this, that we need to start doing more against immigrants, even though the statistics also show that immigrants are criminals at a lower rate than U.S.-born people. So the criminals, not only do they come here and not commit very many crimes, they come here and help out the economy. But the facts don't really matter. It's an emotional appeal. It's a dog whistle, and ratcheting up this kind of rhetoric against MS-13. It's just another dog whistle, dude. And it's trying to get people to clamp down harder on immigration. And these are just the early stages of what could turn real nasty. I mean, when you're planning on doing something real bad to a certain population, a certain ethnic group or whatever, first you dehumanize them. We've talked about that on this show a lot of times. Muslims were dehumanized after 9/11. It was just Muslim, terrorist. Right after 9/11, Muslim became associated with terrorism. And we're still seeing the effects of that to this day. In fact, that's part of the reason why Trump won, because he capitalized on all this fear of Muslims. That is misplaced fear of Muslims, The overwhelming majority of Muslims, 99.99% of them, are just people looking to have a good life and to do their work and to have a peaceful home. And, if you want to go statistics, well, the biggest terror threat in this country are from, KKK type of, white supremacists and stuff like that. So, but when you go down the street, do you see a white guy? I mean, of course, there's a bunch of ridiculous shit going on. But you go down the street and you see a white guy, do you automatically think, oh shit, that guy's wearing a white T-shirt and he has tattoos? Like, fuck, he's probably KKK terrorists, like, oh my God, I better cross the street. No, you really don't. But then at the same time, people see a Muslim person, a woman with a scarf on her head. Sorry, the word escaped me right now. And they're like, oh my God, it's a terrorist. It's the propaganda. The reason that we Americans think that Muslims are terrorists is because after 9/11, they had to make you think that so that they can get away with this war on terror, which, look at it right now. Look how well it worked. Not the war on terror itself, because that has been a biggest failure maybe in U.S. foreign policy history. But the dehumanization of Muslim has worked so damn well that we got done killing at least 1 million people in Iraq, and nobody gives a fuck about that. Nobody gives a fuck about that shit. I don't know a single American person outside of people who I would consider activists or people who I've directly influenced that are actually like genuinely worried about all the people who are suffering, all the Muslim people who are suffering right now in the Middle East, from Yemen to Iraq to Syria. I really don't think many people give two fucks about that because the propaganda worked so damn well. And now they're shifting focus. Maybe they burned out with the war on terror. Maybe there's fatigue about the war on terror. Maybe that's just overextended. We don't got the money for it. I'm worried that they're going to start looking more at the domestic front. And Latinos are going to be the first ones up on the chopping block. This is something that we have to be very, very wary of. And, some of these states, I live in California. California is majority Latino, right? It's like 52% Latino out here at this point. And if we're talking about them cracking down on Latinos even more, you're talking about a big number of people, especially out in the Southwest, dude. California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas. We're talking about a large percentage of people. I don't know the aggregated stats, but I would say 30% of those people of all those states, 40% maybe, are Latino. And people aren't snapping out of it. They aren't waking up to this. Did you guys see in Montana? Fuck Montana. It borders Canada. Border Patrol detained two women for speaking Spanish. 2 American U.S. citizens got detained by Border Patrol in Montana because he heard them talking Spanish and he thought it was suspicious. Want to check their immigration status. People are getting ripped from their families, dude. Just down the street from me, 3 miles to the north, a woman was ripped from her family outside of their high school. And you look at the comments, and it's sharply divided. It's either pro-immigrant people or just the people like, well, she deserved it. That's what she gets. They deport a kid that's suffering from cancer. That shouldn't have been here illegally. A lot of people think that way. It's popular to think that way. Maybe more than 50% of the people. Because, look, I'll tell you, the people in this country are suffering. They're not, I wouldn't call it suffering yet, but they're witnessing a reduction in the quality of life, right? They're seeing that the middle class is shrinking, our costs keep going up, everything's expensive, our pay ain't going up, pay's going down. Inflation's getting us in every corner.
There's only one fix, Nick.
And they want someone to blame. And when you're Donald Trump and you're able to dominate headlines the way you do, and you go around blaming this shit on immigrants, guess what? A lot of people are going to see that, and a lot of people are going to believe that, regardless of the facts. DB, welcome to the show, bro. How you doing, man?
Hey, enjoying the radicalization of everybody I know to either the far right or far left, sitting here in the middle, brother.
There you go.
No, but for real, like I live in a purple state, and we're watching the coasts basically getting ready to fight the South and parts of the Northwest, and we're going to just chill here in the Midwest and watch you guys and laugh.
Ah, man.
Because seriously, like up here, we're chill, dude. Like nothing's going on. All the bullshit going on is not happening here.
Yeah, and look, California is a very pro-immigrant state. Like we've taken Donald Trump to court. Our Attorney General, I saw him speak. He spoke at the Women's March in LA when we were down there covering it, and and he was talking about how proud he was of fighting back against Trump on immigration and taking him to court and overturning some of the executive orders and stuff like that.
But you can't, and I know you're not, but you can't be fooled out there into thinking these are good people. These are the scummiest scumbags of all time on the California government circuit.
Oh, yeah, and they're all assholes too. But there's a sharp difference between these guys and the Southern Bloc, which is kind of the people who got Trump elected, right? There's a sharp divide, man. And I'll say it again. I've said it many times before. Realistic or not, the U.S. just needs to divide itself up and do its own thing. West Coast do its thing. South do its thing. Northeast do its thing. I mean, I would hate to be in the Northeast, bro. Like, I feel bad for people that live up there, dude, because it's like...
It's a shithole.
You got, like, the neoliberal... It's like neoliberal policies where everyone's in, horrible neoliberal policies.
It's the worst place you can live in the country.
And then there's, like, no civil liberties and shit. Like, these fools are barely legalizing medical marijuana and shit. Like,
it's not even that, Nick. Remember when we were out in Philly, a freaking 24-pack of beer was $52?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's man.
They tax you into such an oblivion, and you have to work like such a dog just to survive on the East Coast and the West Coast too, dude. And it's starting to hit here. Minneapolis just got voted third most expensive city, and sure enough, our taxes went up like 12%. So we're looking to sell and get the fuck out of here and go back to the suburbs, which sucks. But that's what's going to happen, dude. You remember in the '60s there was white flight? It's not even going to be that now. It's going to be class flight. So what's going to happen is people that are going to go back from the city out back to the suburbs, get more house, pay way less taxes, have better facilities and schools. I could still drive in. But if you can't get out of the city because you can't economically, you're going to become like a wage slave. And they're setting up these like mass transit lines with these huge concentrated housing blocks all along them right here, Nick. Like they're going to just keep shuffling in immigrants nonstop, putting them in this housing, dude, and just keeping them on welfare forever. And it's like, what are these people planning, dude? They're creating huge like prison cells out of these cities.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah.
2040, look it up. UN 2040. We just had Minneapolis 2040 meeting. They're talking about how like Minneapolis is essentially going to become a sanctuary city, and they're going to like wall it off. And we're like, we're out of here, dude.
That's crazy.
Well, they're taking it to the extreme, brother. That's the problem. It's like these people on the far left are not your friend just because they're anti-Trump. They're the scummiest shitbags there are.
Yeah, both options that are available politically are just completely crap right now. But yeah, that's why I like the West Coast. Look, it's expensive and we got high taxes, but dude, like, I mean, they tend to leave you alone out here. It's very socially libertarian out here,
Well, for now, though, and plus you're in San Diego, but the Bay is literally filling up with shit in the streets. So is LA. LA is like hepatitis central of the whole.
I think part of it is that they never let the bubble fully pop for the real estate bubble, and everyone's getting priced out. Like, dude, like I got homies that work and have decent jobs that if they didn't have their parents to be staying with, they'd basically be homeless. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it's like for a lot of people.
I'm actually in the process of doing a lot of research about the last 20 years of homelessness in Los Angeles, so I'll be able to report on this in a little bit.
Who is the president, Jake? Because I can tell you right now that Slick Willie was the fucking start of our economic collapse.
Well, I mean, that's okay. I mean, homelessness has always been obviously bad, but exploded in the 90s and the 2000s. That's when but and then it recovered a little bit, and then it's exponentially bad right now. This is the worst.
Yeah.
This is the worst it's ever been in Los Angeles.
The only thing that could do anything right now would be to actually subvert some of these funds to public works and get people back into jobs. But like, dude, I'm here now in Minneapolis seeing on the side of the freeways where there's a grassy section where it's too annoying for the cops to come bust, people are setting up tents and sleeping, dude, on the side of the freeway.
Well, yeah, apparently that's what they're doing in LA. There's people are setting up. Well, I mean, they're setting up camps everywhere. I think there's like 222 homeless encampments.
But there's more for every homeless person. There's 8 shuttered buildings in the U.S.
Yep.
Well, yeah, clearly we could. I mean, there should be a national project to turn unused space into housing for.
We're looking into doing these $5,000 composite log cabins on full foundations up here, because you can get a plot of land for like $40,000, and you can spend, I kid you not, like $25,000 on the whole house. So for $65,000, then you could sell it for $100,000 and put that on a 30-year loan, and somebody's paying like $150 a month to have their own house.
Right.
So
the problem with free housing is that there are people, and I don't want to put a political classification to them, but there are people that just refuse to imagine the benefit of giving something to someone for free. They don't understand inequity, they don't understand inequality, and they don't understand that the human condition is complex, and sometimes there's no reason why people fall into the situation they're at because of mental illness, because of drugs, because of family. And they just simply do not have the compassionate bone in them to want to take care of someone who is suffering.
Yeah, dude. And look, I'll tell you what is also happening too, is that there's been people who've been have come from families who've always been middle class, upper middle class, and that are now starting to live paycheck to paycheck. And instead of starting to be more compassionate and put themselves in other people's shoes, like, damn, I might be there next year too. I might be fucking homeless next year. They're getting sharp. They're getting more harsh and more bitter about all the people who do get help, the people that do get food stamps, the people that do get assisted housing, the people that do get welfare and stuff. They're turning further against those people because they're blaming their problems on them. And I'm not afraid to politicize this. It's a right wing talking point. The Republicans love talking about. I drove to grab some fucking tacos earlier, and I turned on the radio, and there's like the right wing dude talking about the police, and he literally is like, "There's never been a race issue with the police in this country." Like, I shit you not. They literally said there's never been a problem with racist policing in the history of the United States. Like, these guys are way out of reality here.
It's absurd. I mean, say what you want to say about liberals. I don't care, but there is a delusion in conservative thinking that boggles my mind sometimes. And look, there's bad stuff with liberals too.
I see it both ways though, all the time, dude. They're both to the extreme now, to both sides. It's
liberals.
It's stupid.
Liberals at least do lip service.
Yeah.
Well, that's the fucking worst, though, dude.
It's just like, fuck the poor. Fuck them.
I'd rather you say fuck me so I can fight you. All right, here's the thing, man. Divide and conquer works because people are stupid enough to believe Democratic Party promises. If you realize they're both the Republican Party and fucking hate you, maybe people would fucking organize, start a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I don't know, maybe revolt. But the whole reason this shit works is because of the facade of good cop, bad cop.
I agree with that, but the reality is there is not a palatable party right now. There is not a palatable party besides the DNC that believes in helping the impoverished.
Look, the Libertarians could have had their moment in the last election, and they put up Gary fucking Aleppo Johnson. And, I mean, come on, dude. Like, I like Gary Johnson, but come the fuck on, bro. The guy's a damn joke. Like,
they're a crazy party, too. And the Green Party, these are all insane fringe parties. Every one of them is a fringe party.
Yeah,
just because you subscribe to it.
And look, Bernie could have...
I think Bernie could have... Confuse what I'm saying. I do not like the DNC.
No, Bernie could have. I think Bernie could have and should have branched off and started his own party and brought in someone from the libertarian side to run with him. I think that would have been maybe a viable.
We realize now
that would have been a political revolution. He talked about political revolution. That would have been a political revolution.
Yeah,
and instead he got a black eye at the DNC convention.
Yeah, and he still gets.
At first, we were thinking he got smacked around in a hotel room, but then you start seeing all these fuckers with the black eyes, and you're like, "Oh, that fool got initiated."
And he still gets blamed for it. You know, he threw all his support behind Hillary, and he still gets blamed because he complained too much about them rigging the election. Yeah, fucking yeah. What do you expect he's gonna do? Like, it's just absurd.
Yeah. So before we go on,
enough, though.
Before we go on, I want to bring a relevant kind of example to what Jake was just saying with this liberal lip service. That lady up in Oakland, you remember just, I think it was last week or the week before, that lady called the cops on those black dudes for having a barbecue, charcoal.
Yeah, you can't do no, she's right. You can't do charcoal grills, you know, like it's a big deal.
Yeah, so like I looked into that lady, and I mean, she's basically a Hillary Clinton Democrat, right? She's an environmental consultant. She's like a specialist in climate change, and you know, all this other crap.
Wow.
So basically,
Did she have hot sauce in her purse, dude?
Yeah, she had the hot sauce in her purse. So you got this liberal lip service where it's like, oh yeah, we care about the poor, and we care about minorities, and we care about climate change. But then you're gonna call the cops on some fools for having a fucking barbecue? Like, that's the textbook lip service right there, dude.
And that's the difference right there. That is the core genetic difference between Democrats and Republicans. They're both fucking racist. They're both racist. The Democrats don't know what Republicans do.
Well, no, what it is the Democrats' virtue signal, which is a dead giveaway that they have racist thoughts and they're trying to fucking make up for it in public.
Yeah.
I don't have to say shit like black people are cool because you know what? I have black friends and I know they're cool and they know I am. I don't look at people like that. The thing is, when you signal like that shit, that means in your mind you're like, oh, fuck, I'm a fucked up person. I got to be outward with this shit.
Yeah, fair point. So, yeah, I kind of lost track of the direction we were going in there.
Well, everything's fucked up. Shit's fucked up.
I probably threw us off. Sorry.
We're all getting a little emotional.
Let's see, what do we got? Okay, so yeah, the Israel thing, the Iran thing, North Korea, it's still looking good. There was a little hiccup there where North Korea called off the talks with the South.
I think that was fake news.
Yeah, it possibly could have been. The U.S. now has made some concessions, actually, where they halted one of their military drills off the coast, so that's good. So it looks like Kim Jong-un and Trump may still meet sometime next month.
Little oil sumo wrestling they're going to have.
Yeah, they should just put on some gloves and just throw it down real quick. So I think we have some good news on that front. And then you guys seen all the wrangling with China. China agreed to equalize the trade deficit, which there's a lot of different opinions on that. I don't think the trade deficit is a huge deal, but China agreed to import more American goods. So it looks like things are kind of smoothing over, and I think all that stuff is related to the North Korea thing. So that looks pretty good. However, the hot point, I think, right now is, again, going on near Israel. So you've got Syria. Looks like ISIS is basically done. Like, ISIS is more or less just done. They've been driven underground. I guess the Baghdadi is still alive, but he's basically gone. Iraq had some elections. There was some Iraqi nationalist dude. I guess he's not friendly with the U.S. or with Iran. So we got kind of a wild card elected president in Iraq. So that's interesting. We're going to have to wait and see how that develops. But you got a lot of rhetoric going on against Iran. The U.S. said today that it's going to be placing the harshest sanctions ever against Iran. Interesting development. And DB, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Now, we know that Iran has been moving against the dollar. They've made deals with several countries to trade With China, they're trading in yuan, and I think with Russia, Europe announced that it's going to trade with them with euros and not in dollar because all the sanctions. Europeans are moving to change some laws to where their businesses won't suffer from the U.S. sanctions, and you got Bolton threatening sanctions against European countries. This is a crazy, in my opinion, this is a really big development. DB, I mean, have you seen this yet, and what do you think about it?
You know what? I honestly can't see it doing much at all. I mean, as long that road that China's building is going to go right to them, so everybody's circumventing everything, dude. These trade wars are just ridiculous. They're just going to use them as an excuse for a real war to go hot. That's what I think. And switching to the euro is all semantics. I mean, at a certain point, they're going to want to go cashless and all digital anyway. So they're just basically all they're doing now is just maneuvering pieces, in my opinion. I mean, I really, truly don't know what the future holds, but I think for the moment, at least, that we're not going to have a huge war. But I mean, Iran's still the holdout, right?
Yeah. Another interesting bit of news: Venezuela Venezuela had elections. Maduro is reelected. The U.S. is automatically saying the results are illegitimate, which what isn't really a big surprise, but it is kind of dumb, I think. I mean, look, all elections are probably tainted. But for the U.S. to always say that its elections are legitimate and that other elections are not, when it's not an ally, whenever Iran has an election, it's illegitimate. Whenever Venezuela has an election, it's illegitimate. Whenever anyone else has an election, it's not legit, that they don't like. Venezuela reelected Maduro. Venezuela offered Turkey a special price on oil if they were to conduct transactions in their cryptocurrency. So that's a pretty interesting angle coming out of Venezuela. Venezuela is trying to get people to adopt their crypto, and I think they're going to be working with Cuba and anyone who is kind of in the anti-U.S. imperialist kind of sphere, which would include North Korea and Iran and Cuba, other kind of countries like that. Venezuela is trying to get them to do business with them with their cryptocurrency because their regular currency is fucking shot to shit, right? Because they pegged their cryptocurrency. It's called the petro. They pegged it to the price of a barrel of oil, and Venezuela's been suffering hyperinflation. I don't know the percentage, but it's like ridiculous. Like I think it's in like the thousands of percent, the devaluation of their currency. And in fact, what was the latest scheme? They're like, oh yeah, we're going to delete like a few zeros off of our currency, and it's like how they're going to fix their inflation problem. So I find that interesting. I think there's a big trend right now with countries starting to say, you know what, we're not going to play ball with the U.S. at this point. Like this whole thing with Iran, I think a lot of these countries around the world, and again, going back to this theme that we've been working on here with Europe is more war-weary than we are here because they've actually been in the big fights and it's been on their soil, unlike here in the U.S. So Europe is, I think, trying to not escalate the situation, while the U.S., we're like fucking 5,000 miles away. Like, yeah, fucking throw the fucking match in there and let it burn. Yeah, because it ain't gonna hit us. But Europe is within striking range of Iran probably, and Europe is going to get hit if that shit goes off over there. So they're more like less inclined, I think, to start shit with Russia and with Iran and stuff. And so I think Europe is actually going to be the peacemaker this time around. Europe has always been this war region. It's been where everyone goes to fight and die. I think this time around, Europe's had enough, and they're going to be like, no, I think we're actually going to play the peacemaker this time, and we're going to be neutral, and we're going to de-escalate the situation. That's where I think is the bright spot. The fact that Europe isn't playing ball with U.S. sanctions against Iran is a big tell sign to me that I don't think the U.S. is going to be able to work up a coalition against Iran, except for the case of a massive attack, which could also be a false flag attack. I think that's the only way they'll be able to get a consensus to go after Iran is with some giant attack, which Iran is not stupid. Iran is not suicidal. I don't think Iran would wage a massive attack on anybody, including Israel. I don't think they would even hit Israeli territory. They haven't yet. I mean, the strikes that they did against Israeli equipment was in the Golan Heights. That's Syrian territory. So the more I look at it, and sure, I'm still worried that a big war is going to go off and the U.S. is going to get dragged in, or the U.S. is going to start a big war, drag a bunch of other people in. I'm starting to feel like that's not going to happen. I'm starting to feel like the U.S. is so rapidly losing its influence and its ability to build coalitions that I don't think we're going to be able to get a coalition going. I mean, the last time we saw it was in Syria, and the chemical attack. Again, have you guys heard about any of the fucking investigation from that chemical attack? I haven't. I think that chemical attack was staged. I think the rebels staged it, possibly with the help of someone else like Israel or whatever. I don't know. They got France and England to bomb with them, supposedly for that chemical attack. Again, I don't think the U.S. is going to be able to work up its regime change shit any longer. I think we've got to the point where we're not really the policemen of the world anymore. As much as they think they are, as much as they'd like to be, I just don't think they can do it anymore. I really don't. And the war on terror, it is what it is. It's a big money-making scheme for these fucking defense contractors and shit. But by doing it, they cut this country off at the knee. This country no longer has the strength or the manufacturing base to do what it did in World War II and what it's done previously.
I don't think we need to, though.
Hopefully not. Hopefully.
I just think we're so far ahead of what they tell us that if we ever did go hot, I mean, the casualty rate would be ridiculous, and anyone that survived would see some fucking incredibly ridiculous shit.
Yeah, I don't think that, conventional warfare speaking, I just don't think we got what it takes anymore. The morale ain't there, the manpower ain't there.
But we don't need it, though. That's the thing, is we don't need it. Like, we're so automated. They'll just throw drones. They'll throw an endless supply of drones at China. China will run out of missiles.
Yeah.
They'll just throw them across the Pacific. They'll just shoot them. They'll keep shooting them. It won't matter. They'll use micro drones. They'll use sub drones. Right now we have 1 million soldiers and 1 million bureaucrats that work at the Pentagon. That's the whole gist of who gets 57% of our GDP.
Yep.
So think about that for the one. That's like the 0.6%. Talking about the 1%.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's the foreign policy thing. We're keeping an eye on what's going on between Israel and Iran. Top story on the anti-media, actually, though, is Israel's coming war won't be against Iran or Syria. The next war, actually, according to a theory by our foreign policy writer Darius, is that Israel is actually positioning to fight against Lebanon. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. We once again got Noam Chomsky to comment for this article, which has been pretty cool. We've got a dialogue going now.
Israel's going to fight Lebanon?
Yeah, maybe. They're
for what?
Preparing for it.
Gas field?
Probably. But they've done some military drills with U.S. troops over there, preparing for it. But hopefully it doesn't happen. And it ain't going to be a walk in the park if it does.
Why don't they pick on a country that actually does some bad shit for once? Like freaking tiny Lebanon? Come on.
Yeah, seriously. What else do we got going on? What do you guys want to talk about, dude? Jake, what do you got going on, bro?
Constitutional crisis upcoming. Trump versus Mueller.
Oh, yeah. What do you think's going on with all that, dude?
Well, it's nuts what happened again over the weekend. He's straight out called out. I mean, this is a bigger deal than a couple months ago when he called out the FBI. I mean, he's literally, this is the first time we've ever had a president calling for an investigation of the top law enforcement agency in the country. Like, it's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Like, we could very well see a showdown like we've never seen before, and we know it's a big deal because John Brennan came out and sent a very strongly worded public message tweet replying to it. Basically,
don't forget Adam Schiff did too.
Yeah, but Adam Schiff's always whining and bitching. You don't normally hear John Brennan basically begging Congress and Senate to refuse to allow an investigation into the Department of Justice and FBI go on. And look, I'm not taking sides between either one. I just think it's fascinating what's going down right now. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before. And it could get to the point where there is literally not a legal protocol to know how to proceed.
There is a legal protocol, and we have seen it before.
Look,
when Smedley Butler let the generals know that he was trying to be purchased by the Standard Oil companies, they circumvented the the executive, judicial, and legislative branches under military law because they said that those three branches were so indelibly corrupt from big business at that time, big business like Standard Oil, that they had to be broken up. And
interesting, but in the modern era, we haven't seen.
Well, yeah, I mean, but then in the modern era, they're going to do it now again, where they're going to have tribunals so they can circumvent these three branches that they know are beyond and hopelessly corrupt. And I'm just telling you that, as I've said all along, he was installed by the military to do what they're going to do, which is house clean. And we missed our window. Unfortunately, we're on the timeline where the people didn't take control back, and we missed our window, and now the military is just going to do it.
Yeah, well,
right, and you may be right, but I mean, if we see someone like John Brennan, who presided over those agencies most likely during whatever happened, he probably had a large part to do with it. And
it sucks when your own apparatus gets turned back around on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what's so incredible about it is the deep state. It was like a boomerang. And it could come back to haunt them, or conversely.
Well, what did they think was going to happen?
This could come back to haunt Trump, dude. Like if they have something on him, they could try and take him down.
They have it on him. I'll tell you exactly what it is. He's leveraged from Russian moguls. He's not a plant or anything like that. It's just business dealings are what they are.
Well, yeah.
And the Rothschilds bailed him out. So he's owed by two different kind of conflicted sides.
Trump's just a mobster, basically, bro.
Well,
kind of.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's a patriot in his way. All right? And the military used that. So I'm just telling you, they used it. All right?
Well, my hope is this feud between Trump and the fucking intelligence agencies. I just hope that they both tear each other down, dude. That's what I'm hoping for.
By doing that, it's going to create a problem here on this, not really here in Minnesota, but it's going to create a lot of problems in places where there's fractures among society. Remember that at least half of the people are not going to believe what's happening. They're going to believe what the news is telling them.
Yep.
They're going to go out into the street and try to, riot. And the military is going to be waiting for them with open firearms.
Yeah, it's true, because most Americans will not even understand what kind of corruption this was. Because a lot of Democrats are saying, oh, well, he was a plant. No, you're right. He was not a plant. Anyone who thinks that's ridiculous. He was, and so, people aren't going to understand what's going on. And so they're just going to get angry, and they're going to do stupid shit, and then they'll declare martial law, and then they'll clamp down on us again.
Yeah, and you know what?
They're expecting that first wave of people. I mean, remember when there was these conspiracy theories that Walmarts were going to become FEMA camps, and they had millions of caskets and shit already, those plastic shits that FEMA had it ready for natural disasters or whatever, and they were mostly in the Southwest. That's because they know when shit pops off, that's what the whole fucking Jade Helm crap was about. They know that rift, the border down there, is going to be so porous so much shit's going to go back and forth. When shit breaks down, it's going to be fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we all know that things have to get worse before they can get any better, bro. And the only constant here is that empires fail, empires collapse, and the American empire has had its run, it peaked, and sooner or later it's going to collapse, bro. And these guys, I think it's a telltale sign that the intelligence agencies, the bureaucracy, is going head to head with the executive. It's a telltale sign, bro. We're in a decaying maturation stage where sooner or later civil society is going to break down. Shit's going to get real nasty for a while, and then the country will probably break up, and then we can start rebuilding, and shit'll be a little better after that.
There was a fight among factions because, and we've gone over a historical context where military takes over every once in a while in every country. Doesn't matter which one. So This is kind of our turn. So what's going on now is like this group, this fucking extra international group of douchebags had infiltrated our government so heavily that they were about to take total control, and once they did, they'd be able to use our military to make their little one world new order bullshit. And thankfully, the psychopaths in our military said, fuck that, we're not going to follow you psychopaths, we're just going to kill all of you and take the country back for our own means. And if the empire fails, so be it. We'll just pull back into our own borders. And I think that's what you're seeing. I think that's what the wall is about, Nick. I think it's about survival of one faction pulling back into the U.S. and making it into Fortress America.
No. Oh, come on, man. The wall is because he's playing to his racist base. That's all it is.
Dude, I mean, come on, dude. Like, it's
What?
30 million people at most that believe that bullshit.
You think it's more likely the wall is to protect us from a future war? That's absurd.
How is it absurd? It works everywhere it's made. They still work.
That's just fucking like Q fucking PCP fever, man. That's all.
No, but they do work. They work. I mean, Mexico's got a huge wall with Guatemala, and they fucking shoot on sight, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, it works.
Every country that builds a wall, dude, it may work for a very short time, but I mean, look at the Great Wall of China. Look at the wall that's still up in Britain that the Romans built. I mean,
well, look at the wall in Israel, though. That shit. I mean,
yeah, but how old is that wall?
That's what I mean. It works for a time, but I mean, if they're building it, they're building it for something, not just because. I mean, to satisfy a racist base of 30 million people, the next elections, if there is one, he's gonna lose. I mean, he is, unless they run like Hillary again.
No, dude, don't put it past the Democrats to build
if they do, then
I think Trump could win.
I think Trump will win because I think the Democrats will run another centrist, and
yeah, I think so.
and they're using this Q stuff to keep independents and anarchists voting for Trump. That's the whole point of it.
Well, are they going to vote at all? I mean, I'm not going to vote. Are you going to vote? I mean, does it matter? Seriously.
Apparently it does matter because we saw in the last election that when people didn't vote for Hillary and when a bunch of people came out and voted for Trump, he actually fucking won.
But do we really know? I mean, it's all voting machines. No,
we don't. But, I mean, I'm going to, I mean, I don't know. I believe a lot of conspiracies, man, but I need, like, a modicum of evidence.
We didn't have a lot of people at our voting booth. I mean, did you? Did yours? I can't. I mean, I remember there was like 30 or 40 people there, but I mean that was about it. I just don't think participation's the numbers they say, and they can fake these fucking votes.
Did you guys see that 2/3 of Americans are like basically given up on the two-party system? But look, the turnout rates are very fucking low. It's like less than 40% of registered voters. That's not counting all the people that can't vote, and that's a lot of people. If you count all the people under 18 and all that. I think,
and then up here they voted for Marco Rubio and Bernie Sanders.
Here's the thing, dude. The people, Trump doesn't have he doesn't have a majority, bro, but he's got a fervent base that's going to show up and vote. What do the Democrats have, bro? I mean, if Bernie Sanders isn't the candidate,
yeah,
the Democrats don't have anybody that is like exciting to anybody, bro. Like I can't even name.
If they don't run Bernie, they will lose. That's all it is.
What are they going to do? Run Kamala Harris? Like that's probably who they're going to run. And they're going to run it as, okay, well, she's black and she's a woman and we got to vote against Trump, and that's basically what they're going to run on. But that's not really those people that would appeal to aren't going to be out there really voting, unfortunately, or whatever. The people that support Trump are going to go out and vote, and he's going to get his 30%.
Well, and if right now, I mean, the economy, it's not. I don't think it's all his. I don't think he's should deserve all the credit for it, or even most of the credit for it. But the fact is, the economy's doing better. There are some geopolitical issues that have turned out well, and if things stay like they are, he has a pretty reasonably strong platform to run, a platform of accomplishments to run on. And I'm not saying that that's legitimate. I'm saying those kinds of things from an incumbent president, and interestingly, he's an anti-establishment incumbent, which I don't know if we've ever seen before.
Well, it would only been if Ross Perot or fucking Ron Paul got in. That would have been the closest thing to this.
It's a crazy situation. I mean,
he is so leveraged, though. He really is. And when the tax things come out, they're going to show. I mean, something weird is going to give. It could be something strange, like we formally have good relations with Russia or something because of some shit like this. I don't know, dude. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, if things stay like they are, I think he'll win. But I mean,
the big anti-Trump leaks aren't going to come out now. They're going to come out during the election. Let's come on. these guys, they're partisans. They're going to hold on to they're going to hold their cards.
Yeah,
they're going to put them down at the opportune time, just like just like WikiLeaks was doing for Trump in the last election, dropping those leaks at the right times to land the most damage. I mean, the Trump stuff. I think the main revelations against Trump that are going to come out, whether whoever he's corrupted by, whoever he accepted bribes from, whoever he bribed or whatever, all that stuff that, you're getting hints of it right now, all that stuff is going to get dropped during the election at opportune times so that the Democrats could try and win. And I don't think they're going to win with an exciting candidate. I think they're going to win by trying to damage Trump to the maximum. And they're going to try to jam in another Barack Obama or another Hillary Clinton type of candidate and say, fucking shove that shit down your throat. That's what they're going to try to do.
That's a great candidate.
The thought of another, the thought of another fucking free trade style Democrat kind of makes me sick as well. But I mean, I don't know. There's no way out of this. Right now, I'm just enjoying the fireworks. Honestly, I'm enjoying the spectacle, immensely enjoying the spectacle of what could be a constitutional crisis. Because honestly, and someone listening might say, oh, you want there to be this major fracture in our faith and democracy? I don't think there's anything this can do that isn't already as bad, or if not worse, as what's been done by our own establishment. All this is doing is making these motherfuckers scared. It's making their little sick game fall apart at the seams. And it's a good thing for this to happen, because they're going to think twice about pulling some of this bullshit again in the future when they see what can happen when the wrong person gets installed. And DB, I think you're right on much of what you say about Trump. But, this is what happens when someone is installed, and this is a coup within a coup within a coup,
Yeah, and I think, you pose the question, are you happy that this shit's fracturing? Honestly, dude, look, the more internal drama the United States has, the less it could look outward and keep its empire going. And we're seeing it, like I said, dude, we didn't strike on North Korea. We're not going to be able to strike on Iran. I mean, we did a couple of useless airstrikes against Syria. That's really all that we can do right now, because we're so entangled in our own internal issues, and that many empires have suffered the same fate. And again, the bureaucracy going head to head with the executive. This is stuff that you saw during the Roman Empire with Caesar and him going on head to head with the Senate and all that stuff. Man. I mean, this is stuff that we've seen before.
This is Shakespearean shit right here.
Yeah, it really is, dude. And I'll say it, dude. I'm willing to take the sacrifice. Maybe millennials will go down as the next greatest generation for saying, you know what, we'll take one for the team. We'll bear the brunt of this fucked up shit, and hopefully we come out the other end of it, and our kids will be able to live in a world that's a little nicer, a little better. One maybe lacking an empire. Maybe the next generation won't have to put up with an empire. Maybe they will no longer be empires after we're done. We can only hope, you know? So, yeah, dude, I mean, it is very interesting what's going on with Trump and stuff, and I think that there's competing powers. Everybody likes to think of some one overarching conspiracy, this, you know, Illuminati, you know, Freemason bullshit. I don't think that's the case. I think there are competing powers trying to get their things going. And look, dude, you can't, like, has any you guys ever been involved in, like, activism and organizing, getting people on the same page? Dude, it's to think that there's a 1,000 rich dudes running the world right now, all in cooperation. Bull fucking shit.
It's absurd.
Good luck getting two of them motherfuckers together and getting them to agree on shit. Good luck with that.
The next empire, I'm just going to get this in real quick. The next empire, I guarantee you, will be at the very least transhuman or more likely AI. Interesting thought, bro.
Trans?
Yeah, like it will be a hybridization of human and AI.
Why can't it just be trans?
That's what trans is. Full empire by AI would be, you know, robot overlord style. More likely, it's going to be a cooperative agreement between AI and humans. The three major militaries that's what they're all pushing to. We're going to have it in like 30 years. There's not going to be an empire overthrow before that.
Thank God we're going to be dead by then.
Yeah, dude. Well, interesting times for sure. And the thing that we have to our advantage, have you guys seen that meme where it's like, oh, it's cool. It's like watching it's cool being alive in 2018. It's like watching the fall of the Roman Empire, but we have Wi-Fi. Have you guys seen that? It's funny, man, because it's so damn true, dude. Like, at this point in history, we got all this shit going on, and I mean, we've seen this happen throughout history before, but now everyone around the world has access to it, and we could all see it go down in real time. And maybe this time around, because of that, it'll enable us to learn a little bit more from it. Because that's been the problem of history, is that people have short-term memory loss, bro. Like, we see something go wrong, and then it's like, oh, wow, that was horrible. Let's have a revolution. And then 50 years later, it's like, oh, fuck, we're back in the same exact spot we were in. Maybe this time around, the world as our witness. The world as our witness as the American Empire falls. The rest of the world can learn a little something from it. Hopefully, anyway. Ideally.
Yeah, we'll be all right, Nick.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah, we gonna be all right. America, man.
Just come up here, dude. Just get out of that Constitution-free border zone. That's all I can say.
Well, shit, bro. We're in a constitutional-free country at this point. Shit.
Nah. Not if you're 100 miles in. You're good.
Yeah, we'll tell that to Philando Castile.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, you only got rights after the fact. You get a lawyer, and then you fight him in court. You ain't got no rights on the spot. Thank you all for tuning in. Anti-Media Radio. Peace out.
Told you I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing, but call it a reality, cause there's no illusion.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.